Everyone has a life story to tell, but an incredible life story is shared and told differently. Welcome to yet another episode of Incredible Life Stories with Simon Kasyate. Incredible Life Stories, like I keep telling you, is an incredible life story. A story that may be lying in plain sight, right in front of you, but a story that you never appreciated for what it is. Tonight on the program, we're looking at a story almost akin to Saul into Paul, where the focus may tend so much to be on the Damascus moment, that road to Damascus, where Saul sees the light and transforms into Paul. But questions never asked the depth and impact that Saul had on their own life, the impact of the Damascus moment, and what Saul chooses to do with his life when he becomes Paul. That you start off by being a persecutor of believers, get your Damascus moment, and then spend the rest of your life undoing that you did while you were in persecution, but even more, becoming the greatest disciple of spreading the good news. Now, we're not talking about religion. We're talking about life and how life is lived. On the program, I have a very good friend of mine from way back, childhood friend, Elwa. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Simon.
So you will allow me, and this sometimes is very painful to talk about, but when I describe you as Saul in your previous life, you will tell us about your Damascus moment and what the Paul is today. So I'll start with the Paul and then go backwards. Today you are running your life focusing on recovery. And indeed, that's how aptly you have named your organization, Focus on Recovery, where you're supporting young and old people alike get through a shackle of addiction, a shackle of a messed up life, the shackle of living a lack of focus, the shackle of falling under the heavy weight of life's vagaries that stop us from realizing our dreams, living healthy lives, and being who we actually are purposefully supposed to be. So let's put it plainly, Albert. You had a history of struggling with substance abuse, specifically maybe alcohol, and you tell us more about it. Today you are now focusing on recovery. Yes. What are you doing at the moment? Just give it some more detail.
Okay. At the moment, I'm into recovery work. That is treatment and prevention. I run 3 organizations. 2 of them are basically to treatment of mental health disorders, but with special emphasis on addiction. That is FORE Tranquil homes and Break Free mental health treatment and rehabilitation center. Both of them on Entebbe Road. So we rehabilitate people who are struggling with addiction, those that have basically lost control. And then the 3rd organization, which is actually supposed to be the mother of all these organizations, Focus on Recovery, is basically into all aspects of mental health. Employee assistance programs, adolescent counseling, we do all outreaches, we are into advocacy, we do addiction outpatient treatment, basically the whole mental health package. Yeah.
So one organization was not enough for the kind of work you have before you. You chose to make them like a trinity, to say we'll have the umbrella organization and then have these 2 appendages that are specific, and the umbrella does the more general thing that includes and is not limited to advocacy. Why so?
Not exactly that. I have different partners in these organizations.
With different interests.
With different interests. Yeah. For some reason, they are all comfortable working with me in these different spaces. Yeah. At a certain point, I attempted to make it all one company, and it became a bit difficult. People are comfortable with the people that they know, and I'm the person, I'm the common denominator here.
We're going to look at the aspects that you talked about in the description of your respective ministries
Yeah.
in relation to you. You say you're dealing with people, helping them to get over addiction.
Yeah.
Let's break it down. What's addiction?
Addiction is a disease, scientifically proven. It's a disease of the brain. It is chronic. It means it's incurable. It's progressive, and it's relapsing. And it is.
Let's break down these words. These are two big words. It's progressive.
If it's progressive,
it's relapsing. What's that?
In nature. So, chronic, like I said, it's incurable.
When you hit it,
exactly, the status never changes. You can only control it through total abstinence. That means once you're addicted to any substance or behavior, you cannot use anything else addictive. You know? Now, progressive, for example, I have been 17 years sober.
17 years sober.
Yeah. If you go into the science of addiction, it will tell you that God created us with 4 biological functions that make us feel good. That is sex, when we eat food, drink water, nurture things we nurture in life, like on your wedding day, tal. Now, out of all these, sex is the highest. And why do all these things give us pleasure? Just because there's a part of our midbrain known as the pleasure center that releases a chemical called dopamine. Dopamine is a chemical that makes us feel good. Now, these substances that we take, or the addictive behavior we get involved in, also trigger the release of this dopamine. At a certain point, the brain is overwhelmed by dopamine, and it creates channels to suck out the extra dopamine being brought about by the substances. And when it does that, you find that you need more of the substance to have the same feeling, because now you have developed what we call tolerance. The extra dopamine is sucked out.
But then the more it sucks out,
yes,
the more
you need more. Yes.
Even if it gets sucked out, but you have to maintain a certain high.
A certain high. So when you continue from this point, you get into a state of addiction. Now, when you get into a state of addiction, this structure of your brain changes shape, practically. And this new shape of your brain is irreversible and feeds typically or totally on dopamine. So when you don't use, it sends you signals. I want. And that's what we call withdrawal symptoms. That's why you'll see Albert shaking when he has not used. But when I drink, I'm stable. And different substances give you different
withdrawal symptoms.
Yes, irritability, hallucinations, et al., depending on the substance. Now, this new structure of your brain only dies the day you go 6 feet deep.
What?
And it keeps growing. Now, I have not been using alcohol for 17 years, but in there is a 17-year progression. It has kept growing.
That if, God forbid,
yes,
you relapsed now,
exactly,
you would do so in such a way that your 17-year-old self would look at the current relapsed person in you as wow.
No, actually, my brain would demand 17 years of alcohol
to catch up on lost time.
Exactly. So imagine every day I'm seated with you and my brain is demanding 17 years of alcohol. That's the progressed state. So I am drinking.
I'm
and
sure
almost
the brewery is able to fit that now,
exactly.
Considering how much you are taking.
And that's why you see people will think that rehabs don't work, because they'll say that this guy came back from rehab and it's worse. No, it's just a progressed state and the brain is demanding more. And this person is unable to satisfy it, so they'll keep taking or using whatever drug at a higher rate. And that's why you see that many people who relapse do not last long.
Because now that substance now creates other, you say, opportunistic symptoms that break you up and all.
Yes, I mean, if every day I'm seated, the brain wants, the body wants 17 years of alcohol, I'm going to be blacking out what is going to be happening to my organs.
The liver.
Yes, I am drinking so much, I'm not eating and all these things. So yes, all these, the organs are affected, infections will come in and all that. So at the end of the day, that is what explains the progressed state. So somebody may think, I have not used for 2 years, I'm okay. No.
When you start?
Exactly. You will have to pay for the 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So once you stop, you can't start. And whether it was tobacco you are using, if that part had changed in your brain, anything that is psychoactive, anything that is addictive will trigger activity there. So you cannot shift from one to something you consider safer, maybe from alcohol to weed or to vaping. It's the same part of the brain. Yeah.
Albert, you may, at this point in time, on the program, be the postcard image of addiction, as it were. But how bad is the situation? We keep hearing people throw around statistics and all that. Maybe hearing it from you, who has lived it, who has gotten out of it, who's helping the process of recovery across board. What depth has it had on our society as it is today?
It's really bad. It's
How
really
bad, Albert?
I will not, the statistics vary, but I can tell you almost 1 in 4 families is dealing with a problem of addiction. The worst bit is that we are so deep, we are so stigmatized when it comes to, we are so deeply rooted in stigma when it comes to addiction that we are burying our heads in the sand. You know?
When you say we, you mean we who are addicted,
as a society,
or the society that is dealing with someone in their yard as an addict? The society,
because we meet families that try to talk to you to go and treat their loved ones in hiding. What will people say? And we are saying, but you're the people in the position of authority. You're the decision makers. If you do not come out and fight against this thing, who is going to help us push back? Because right now, with the kind of drugs that we have on our streets, drugs that you and I never knew about,
when we were growing up,
heroin, crystal meth, mushrooms,
ice,
cocaine, yes, that's the myth. And it is so available, it is everywhere.
What?
You know, now we have Nigerians, these West Africans with meth labs in Munyonyo, Buziga.
And they're operating
these
openly.
Things are quite available. You know, so you cannot, every cohort of treatment that we have nowadays must have somebody battling meth. It is so bad we are having children die every day, but when you attend these funeral services or these burials, the parents are giving you stories of heart failure and other
more
natural
dignified
causes
of death.
Yes.
That can easily be traced to something else, but when you know that at the core of the cause of death is substance abuse.
Yes, so it is being masked, but it's a very bad situation.
How bad is it in the sense that this costs a lot of money to sustain as a habit?
Yes.
So are you simply trying to say that those with means are in fact battling that the most, or there is a drug for every socioeconomic level someone is at?
There's a drug for every level. Look at the ghettos. At any point you get into a ghetto in this country, you're going to find people in different states of blackout.
Whatever time of the day.
Whatever time of the day, you'll find them there. Just like if you go to different bars in this city, you're going to find young people and old alike in different states of inebriation. So
in other words, you go to a ghetto.
Yes.
Let's look at Kololo Hill, for example.
Yes.
You know, at Kamocha is certainly on Kololo Hill.
Yes.
The only differentiating road is Prince Charles around Lohana, which says this is Kamocha, this is Kololo.
Yes.
So down, people are inebriated in every sense 24/7.
Yes.
But if we went and scaled the walls of these high-end residential places on the upper side of Kololo, we still find the same in home.
Yes, the same issue. Yeah, and that's what's happening. But you see, you hear stories of mostly the elite, because probably these are the guys you hung out with. These are your friends, these are guys you grew up with, their children or relatives. But go down there, the story is dire. It's just as bad. Go to Butabika, look at private, full. Look at the free wards, alcohol drug unit, equally full.
Sometimes even pushing away prospective clients.
Yes, and both ends are pushing out. You know, now we have over 100 rehabs in this country. You know, we have people at the same thing with these rehabs, treating people at different with different social standings. Unfortunately for us with rehab, we've also gotten to a state that it has become heavily commercialized.
And also has created space for fakes.
Yeah, there are so many quacks. There's so many quacks, and that has also made it difficult for us because people are questioning.
Are these rehabs working?
Are
or
they
they're just
working?
becoming another center for
Yes.
recruitment and the like?
Yeah, so people should be able to do a background check and understand what kind of rehab they're taking their person to. You know, if you do not go to a well-established and professionally run rehab, you are just going to end up initiating your loved one into that cycle of rehabilitation, and they end up getting institutionalized. At the end of the day, you will say they end up getting radicalized. You keep going back, and then they develop an institutional mentality. Rehab will never work for them.
It will just become like one of those other different spaces for hangout. And
yes, they just go there to, you know, relax a bit, detox, and then go back into the cycle of using. And you'll say these rehabs don't work. But did you do a background check?
They go back to that set you talked about, where you've been sober 17 years.
Yes.
The moment you relapse now,
Yeah.
your body will demand 17 years of a blast.
Exactly. And one time this person just won't wake up.
They'll just go.
You know, Simon, almost every week I get to hear about someone who has died as a result of substance abuse.
Are you talking about information coming in from our backyard in Uganda here, or are you talking about global?
Here in Uganda, almost every week.
And those are the ones that actually report to you.
Yes.
But it could be others that just go unnoticed.
Unnoticed. Sometimes it's suicide, sometimes it's overdose, sometimes organ failure.
And that could have been you, Albert Elwa.
Yes.
17 years ago.
Yes.
If you hadn't hit, people, I hear the word thrown around called rock bottom.
Yeah.
Or me, I prefer to call it, for the purposes of our conversation, the Damascus moment.
Yes.
So we're going to take a short break, Albert. When we return, now you've given us the grand overview of the situation as it is for us to appreciate it.
Yes.
But then for us to personify it and see it through the eyes of those that have lived it.
Yes.
And that's why you graciously accepted to sit and have this incredible life story of yours shared. Because there are many that find themselves in a situation you are in and don't seem to see the hope that 17 years could sit on a program like this and share a story and look back and you are alive to tell the story. And in good health. We'll be right back. It's Incredible Life Stories with Simon Kasyate.
Everyone has a life story to tell. But an incredible life story is shared and told differently.
Welcome to the program, and today we have an incredible life story, and it's a story that inspires hope, a story that is saddening from its roots but has flowers coming in as it ends, like all incredible stories should be. In other words, heroes are those that live long enough to tell their story of the anguish, the sacrifices, and everything that they've gone through to build character, build themselves, and everything in between. On the program, Albert Elwa. He is into recovery, supporting different people facing all sorts of addictions to recover. But he's not doing so as a technical professional per se, even though he has picked professional nuance over the years, studied and learned that. Why? Because he was there and he is now here. So we'll start from the beginning, Albert. Who are you? Where were you born? When were you born?
Yes, Albert Elwa Lewis. I'm a psychologist, addiction professional, recovery coach, and a person in long-term recovery from addiction. I was born in Kampala on the 15th of...
You're a Kampala kid.
Born and bred.
Specifically, Bugolobi kid.
Bugolobi, yeah. Yeah, 15th of February 1980 at Nsambia Hospital to Mr. and Mrs. Poletot, very lovely people. I grew up in Bugolobi Flats. Let me say, between Bugolobi and Luzira, but most of my life in Bugolobi.
Which was, at the time you were growing up, more like a police barracks, because there was all sorts of people mixed in there.
All characters. Like, you remember the movie, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Everyone was in.
Everyone was there. And
maybe for perspective of the population density in Bugolobi Flats, let's put it in perspective this way, that there are 28 blocks.
Yes.
But in every block, on every block, there are 32 homes averagely.
Yes.
So if you want to know how many households we're talking about, is 28 times 32. Yet there were some households that had 2 families or 3 families sharing one.
I'm telling you. And also, go to almost every part of every paraspectator or company in town. At least you might chance on someone who grew up in the flats.
That was the childhood you had.
Yeah, exactly.
That you were allowed to mingle and mix with all sorts of people.
All sorts of
So
people.
that also influenced greatly your character.
Yes.
Take us back to your childhood, to the best way you remember it.
Yeah.
First, let's start from your home. Are you an only child?
No. We are 14 kids.
Okay, that's
From
quite a number.
3 moms, 9 of whom were born by my mom. 2 of us are deceased. I think we are now 7. We are 7 left. Growing up, in those days, almost every other family was extended. Relatives came, lived with you. Now, despite the 14 of us, it's only, I think, one of my half siblings, one of my half sisters who grew up with her mom. So 13 of us were there. And then we had all these relatives coming in, especially because of the war in the north. So you find that our home in Bugolobi was packed up to even the balcony. My dad had another place in Luzira that was also packed.
So you had an annex of your home.
I'm telling you, there was another annex that side. So we had these young uncles also that were not much older than us. So in the neighborhood, also our neighbors, there were
Similar story. Similar big families.
Exactly.
So do we say therefore our parents possibly did not have enough time to particularly attend to the need of each one of our children in terms of understanding them and talking to them?
100%. No, they didn't. They didn't have that time. They were trying to work and trying to provide. My dad was balancing his job at Uganda Breweries with also running a private transport company. So I don't know when if I remember in my childhood sitting down and just having a normal conversation with my dad.
Which you today have with your own children.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
So your father to address any one of you, it would be as good as addressing a political rally. I mean, we have 14
I'm
children
telling you.
and an extension.
I'm telling you.
And no one addresses a political rally every day.
I'm telling you. So for my dad, he focused on just providing and making sure we had and what we needed and also the disciplinary angle. So when he came back in the evenings,
the lower court, which was your mother, reported to the Supreme Court.
but we also had the other court of my relatives. That was a very powerful court as well, almost more powerful than my mom. They also, every evening, my dad sat down after he has rested, so and so did this, so and so did this. So,
and it was only the bad. There was one saying that this one he did very well.
There was nothing about good manners or whatever. It was only about the bad deeds. So there was chiboko every time.
Wow.
But before that, before our relatives came in, I think my dad tried, because he used to take us out. I remember Silver Springs those days. I remember him being advised by some relatives and a certain priest that the kids' ears are on the buttocks, that you spare the road, you'll spoil these guys.
And you guys.
Yes. It started slowly, then it just went overboard. Contrary to a story that was run in one of the popular TV stations that I called my dad brutal. I never called my dad brutal. He was tough.
Like men over, like all our dads anyway.
Yes, but he was in no means a brutal man. And also, in hindsight, he just didn't know how to do it, because even him, he was brought 14, and he was brought up with kiboko, and he had turned up successful. So I think in the end, it made sense to him that this was the only road to success.
But he also exposed you to piety. He took you to church almost every time.
And that's the greatest blessing I think I got from my parents. Because if you remember, I was an altar boy.
With me.
Exactly.
Same cohort.
So that background has been a very strong
people are now
blessing.
asking what happened to we former altar boys, but as they can see, we are alive.
If
we had kept that path, I think would have just come out from the last conclave, I think I would have been a cardinal right now.
Or maybe the Pope.
You know, who knows?
Yeah. So growing up, so we were closely watched, but again,
You had your...
we had our ways. We were naughty kids. Always having these fights with other kids around the flats. We had what we call vita, different blocks fighting, using catapults and all that. But we enjoyed I enjoyed my childhood.
But you also were doing very well in school. You were in your cohort at Shimoni, which doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
I'm sure you are on the whole of, you're on the wall of great performance.
Yeah.
Wall of
Honest, that area I was blessed. I was performing quite well. I think I was the brightest of my dad's kids, so I was always top of my class. I remember the same about you. I still remember our debates.
Again, don't ask what happened to us later, but we were alive again.
Yeah.
So, and then, the thing is, you telling me your life story, which I know for the most part, and perhaps lived a bit of it.
Yes.
Is one that many people would want to call a conflict of interest. But then, Abba, when did you have your first drink?
I think that was at the age of 15. My dad working in the breweries, there was always alcohol at home.
That's what I was going to come to.
Yes.
There was always some beer like
always, almost about 10 crates every day. But interestingly, my uncles, aunties were always drinking, but I never ever got tempted. It wasn't something, because it was around, But, and of course, once in a while, you would test from someone's glass, but we weren't taken up.
And the test at first was
I didn't really like the test. Yeah, but in my senior two...
and this is while you were at St. Mary's College, Kasyate?
Yes, this one at Kasyate. In Bugolobi, we had all these groceries surrounding us in the flats.
The little canteens and shops and all that. Yes,
and we had the older boys that were around those canteens that had formed their cliques, and they used to time us young ones that still had the good graces of our parents, and we are the ones that they used to
use as conduits for some money.
Yes. Also, these guys, at a certain point, this one is calling you and telling you all these things. You're cool, you know how to bounce, that kind of stuff. You dress well. You boy, we saw you on TV, those quiz things, and you're feeling good about these things. So it had happened over the years, almost from my P6. And now in senior 2, you're also hearing things at school. So you're kind of you take interest in what they're doing.
You're going through a change in terms of life. You are going through puberty and adolescence.
Yes.
So your mind is also being receptive to certain things that make you feel good.
Yes, and you're in that experiential phase.
Absolutely.
So before I knew it, I started testing.
Not the one at home.
Not the one at home.
The one at home was boring. So you...
Yeah. And one time I go for a party with my brother, those Namasagali parties, and I take some wine, and it gives me this buzz. I remember going home and I'm saying all these things and people are laughing, but it made me feel so courageous.
Wow.
And I think that is where the problem started. So the next time I was confidently now taking
wine.
Because at the party it was punch. But now I understood that that was the effect of alcohol. So I started now trying to get the same effect from this stuff these guys were taking. And before long, I think I was hooked. So shortly after that, I was also expelled from SMARC because now I had started escaping. And there's something about using some substances that you just know how to identify other people who use the substances.
There's a brotherhood.
Yes, or a pool. You just recognize each other. So when I went back to SMARC, I easily identified with the older boys that were using. And before long, I had access to cigarettes, alcohol. I knew the escape routes. I was going to the nightclubs, but I was never caught.
And you had money though for that lifestyle?
Yes, I had the money.
Used to provide.
Yes. Now, SMARC, what would happen in SMARC whenever you escaped? They would go and fold your mattress and take to the common room. So you come back and there's nothing on your bed. But my mattress had never been folded. And I had never been caught. So these guys, the prefects all knew that Elwa is the ringleader of these things. He's the one bringing in the stuff and the one leading.
So somehow you had graduated from a mere innocent consumer
Exactly.
to an ardent consumer.
Exactly.
Now you had become a supplier.
I'm a supplier, I'm the ringleader in everything that is bad. I am the bully, I was the extreme of bad in almost all,
And this you didn't see it coming, but you now with the benefit of hindsight,
Yeah.
you see that's where you were.
Exactly, that's where I was. But you know, like the substances take away your controls. Somewhere you're in your world, you're in your wildness or whatever.
And it feels good being in there.
It feels good. You're a teenager, you want to be noticed, you're the bad guy, and you're kind of an attraction for the other students.
With a ooh, wow and aspiration.
Yes. So I'm expelled from SMAC. The prefects go and tell Brother Gawa by then that, if you want
Peace in this place.
You throw out this man. He's the cause of all this trouble. So this one expels me and actually gave me a very rosy recommendation, because there was no reason, he had no proof or evidence to give my parents that this is why we're expelling this boy.
So what did he write in his letter?
He just said I'm a good performer, what, I don't even remember, but he praised my performance and he talked about my potential to whichever school was willing to take me.
But you see, let's pause over there and also say, because eventually what happens after that becomes a downward spiral.
Yeah.
Because you lose your confidence and all that. But
Yeah.
before you tell us that story in greater detail, with the benefit of hindsight, don't you think that our schools also contributed to how we turn out? Because your dad took you to school not just to study, but also to make your character,
Yeah.
to format you
Yeah.
into a responsible person. Had you gone so badly off the ability for the school to mold you into a responsible person? Because we all start from that template of the inherent desire to be bad. We need to hold them to account. I think expulsion because of conduct, yet schools could have possibly held us together. Maybe.
I think they could have. I think they could have, but how much were they willing to risk? And also talking about schools being the foundation, I think out of all the schools, my character to date was greatly shaped by the few years I spent in SMAC. My outlook to life, even the way I reason and all that.
And how you eventually made the decision to, not making the decision, how the flip comes through, the soul to Paul moment.
Yes.
If you look back, there's a huge element of the school.
Yes, exactly. Because at the end of the day, you're looking at your peers where they are, and you're like, man, I'm a smartest. What am I doing here? Stuff like that. You're seeing all your guys doing great, and you're like, but what am I doing here? This is the guy I used to give grub.
This is the guy I used to beat in school. I used to discuss with him.
This is the guy who used to tap me for this. And he's doing all these great things, and I'm here.
And it may have worked on two fronts. That the guy used to give grab is also looking at you and saying, can you imagine? This is the guy that used to discuss for me.
Definitely.
I'll see where he is. I should never be like that.
Definitely.
Then you are saying, this is the guy I used to beat in class. The guy used to give grab. I should tune myself up and get my grip
Exactly. And there's a part of, I'll share later, when I met one of my OBs. And I just, basically, I went to greet the guy.
No, share, please. This is it.
If you remember Segalinda, I don't know if he remembers this story, Robert.
I do. They don't. They don't even know the story.
So I meet Sega, Middle East in Bugolobi.
You are in your heydays of deep shit addiction. Pardon.
Yeah. So I'm happy to see the guy. I haven't seen him since Mark days, but I think he's heard a lot about my story. So I go hug the guy. Before I say anything, he pulls out 10K. I'm like, Sega, what's this for? He's like, I knew it would come later. So I thank him for the money, but it hit deep. I'm like, wow.
So everyone thinks that when you say hello to them,
Yeah.
the next thing you're going to ask for.
Exactly. Elwa is always tapping for money for swallow. And that is basically alcohol and cigarettes. That hit deep, and I'm like, no, this has got to change. This is not who I am. I should thank Sega. That small gesture was one of the most significant moments in my life, the Damascus moments, among others, basically.
Let's take a short break, Albert, here on Incredible Life Story with Simon Kasyate. When we return, then now we get down to you have flipped, you have been sent out of school. Let's go down with you, down the spiral, and see what that does to you and what you do to it. Because the both of you were at it like this. You and substances were going head to head. And it's important for folks to know that that happens, but you can get out of it.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Everyone has a life story to tell, but an incredible life story is shared and told differently.
Welcome to Incredible Life Stories with Simon Kasyate. So when we talk about substance abuse and the recovery or no recovery out of it, many a times these are stories that are said, generally and without necessarily putting a postcard image to them. On the program tonight, the incredible life story of Albert Elwa is an embodiment of what substance abuse means, recovery from it, and then choosing that you will not be selfish with your journey of recovery and say, I will dedicate the rest of my life to saving many more other souls, that as many as I can get from the doldrums that I was in. And that's what Albert is doing today, running his focus on recovery. Albert, you just shared a little bit of how it went down.
Yes.
Or should we say, how it went south. So now we are south.
Yes.
What's in there? You're blasting, you're enjoying, and you don't know. Tell.
Yeah. Basically, at that point, it's free fall. The worst part about addiction is that you can never tell how bad it is till it really is bad, till you've lost total control.
But for you, there was something I need. You're not like any other guy. You spoke well, you were educated. I mean, you're born in Bugolo, so you had your gift of the gab. Oh, you don't look bad. You are almost a 6-footer. So you had everything in as far as aesthetics is concerned, that you would approach somebody and they could even give you credit if you don't have money. But then as you continue down the road, then you begin to become like the you that met your OB who just gave you 10K without even asking.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. All those attributes work for some time. They have a short shelf life, a few years, and then people see you for who you really are, because now I am leading cliques, I am the life of the party. All these young people come to me with their money. Of course, I think most people were pinching from their parents.
Well, no one was working, so how else were they earning?
And I remember with some of my friends, working was actually picking money from your parents. Tonight I have to work. So
you wait for that to sleep, and then
exactly.
You go
whichever way you do it, he has got to bathe or whatever. You pinch his money. And like, man, some of these guys had crazy money because we were drinking millions or thousands of dollars. So
what? In a month?
I'm telling you, sometimes in days. Because I would leave home sometimes without money, and the next day I have hundreds of thousands or hundreds of dollars in my pockets.
And you're drunk?
And I'm drunk.
So that means you now have Ntandikwa for the next
Yes.
one.
So now I also go to these other guys because there were so many levels of hanging out. Yeah. We had our
ones you
our
go
Gabs
to
friends. Those ones you go, it's like going to work, because before you start, somebody gives you a bundle to first keep, or two, he has some, and then you go there, you're spending at will. Of course, you keep some for yourself. The next day, as you're paying, you go to the B-listers, rendezvous. Now you're the one shooting them also.
You're the Mugaga now, you have
so,
that.
so even when these guys have some money, they are looking for you. So almost at every other point, you couldn't run out of alcohol. I remember my dad was so disturbed. Where does this man get money to drink? And he thought, and he just concluded that I must be among the people mugging women on the way or doing stuff like that. It couldn't. Then he came up with a story. He's like, but I was told that he's a bouncer in Angenois. So they must be robbing drunk guys. Those are the only things.
So did he ever stage a raid on you, say in Angenois, to come and see you?
No, in different bars he did. He did. Of course, now eventually it hit him that this guy is hanging out with this, because for him at home he has tied all the taps. So eventually got information. He hangs out with this kind of kids, these rich kids, and they're the ones funding.
Facilitating his
Yes.
lifestyle. And I'm sure at some point you were also not returning home after a good night's sleep.
Yes, I would spend days,
You go on safari, drinking safari.
Because now what happened, when it got to senior for VAC, for me now, I actually first shifted from home. I was living in Kamwacha. We used to call it Dark Side, that my friend's place.
You call it the dark side.
Dark Side. He had a full bungalow to himself. The parents had passed on and left the kids. There was a lot of property, so these guys were in the Kamwacha house. So it was Bugolovi Kamwacha. And so sometimes my dad would go looking for us with police. You know, I remember a time he put me in Ginger Road police station for about 4 days, 5 nights. 4 nights, 5 days.
What?
But that still didn't work. He put me in Bugolovi for a full night, 2 nights. It didn't work. You know, he tried.
He tried as a parent in the best way he knew how.
Yes.
But for you as the person going through this was emboldening you even more.
Yes. Yeah.
But all this time, things are happening. People are going through school. People are doing life, and you probably are not.
People are going to school. I actually did want to go back to school at a certain point. But then my dad was like, it is either my way or
no way.
If you want to go back to school, totally change your lifestyle. Because after SMARC, I did 3 schools and I finally sat from Aga Khan. But now it took me 5 years.
These are 3 schools in 5 years for just 3 classes.
Yes.
Because you left SMARC in senior 2, then senior 3.
Senior 3 first term, I think. Yeah. So senior 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I lost a year in between. So go to Aga Khan, and by the way, I didn't have tuition for Aga Khan because my dad refused to pay. But then I managed to get money from my grandfather to register for senior 4, my maternal granddad. And I only went back to school to sit for my exams. I didn't study senior 4.
What?
And my exams, it was Club Silk exam room.
And you aced them, I suspect.
I passed. I didn't ace. And my dad was very concerned. He's like, but of course he called that passing by village standards. It's like, if this boy could get these grades with his lifestyle, maybe let me push. Of course, by your standards, there would be very poor grades.
In club set
Yes.
to an exam room, it's a miracle.
Yeah, so it takes me back to Aga Khan, but Aga Khan again, I was thrown out on the first day.
They remembered you.
Yeah, and somehow Madame Jaffa's eyes were on me. There was a headmistress, and typical of me, I escaped to go out and smoke.
That very day.
Midday, my expulsion letter was done.
Out.
I knew my dad, there was nothing I was going to tell the man. So I just continued to dark side. Basically, till the age of 21, of 20, I was in senior 4 VAC. No school, but...
Which you entered at 17, those are 3 years.
Yeah, so it was terrible. I was not happy, but again, I thought I would change something.
So every time you went into an emotional low and started thinking of missed opportunities,
yes,
you reached out for a glass.
Yes, because now that's the only way I would numb my pain.
And aren't we lucky that at that time there was no proliferation of harder drugs than alcohol and cigarettes? Or there was, and somehow your taste buds did not gel with it.
All we had there was weed, but I tried weed once, on 3 occasions, but I quickly realized that wasn't for me.
It never gave you the kick, or it was too much?
It would mess me up totally, dry my mouth, give me a headache, and I'm like, this thing is not... I would run mad.
Literally?
Yeah, because I am moving, I can't, it's like I'm losing, there's no gravity here. I'm inside Gabs, I'm spitting on the pool table. I think it's things like that. So I'm like, I don't want something that really messes me up like this. So for me, it was alcohol. The drugs didn't do it for me. Yeah. So
in your Form 4 VAC, you decide to just go into exile because the dark side, remain in there, you're unhappy. But
somehow you numb the pain, but now you're also beginning to lose friends because some of them have gone, I'm like, but our boy, You need to style up your life. So my friends eventually go to university. I also report to university. You know Mufaring, eh? I'm also there Mufaring with a friend of mine, Don. I'm a lawyer, is a doctor.
You even give yourselves courses.
I'm telling you.
No admission course, you've not done A-level.
Exactly. And we are there confusing all these freshers with our English, borrowed clothes or whatever. We knew how to style up. And we're also dating freshers and things like that. Until some of our friends, I think even were on the campus grounds for about, I think, a year or two. But at a certain point, people get to know.
But with this guy, he claims to be in law school, but we will not see him even once.
So the ladies start questioning, but you man, are you seriously on campus? And now your area of operation begins to narrow. And before we knew it, we had expelled ourselves from uni.
This time round, the university hadn't do you expelled. You expelled yourselves.
But of course, we also had to live in style.
You
know, I remember the girl I was trying to see at that time. I lied to her that I was going to the UK. It was a sorrowful moment, all those things. Only for her
you put up an act.
Exactly, to explain your disappearance. Only for her to bust me at Club Silk.
Sees you. Well, you're like she escort you up to the airport, and then you...
you know, no, but she did it.
So when she sees you at Club Silk?
She looks at me, she's in shock. I have no words for her, we just pass each other. I've never spoken to her since then.
To date?
Yeah, I remember a few years ago, it was a hi on Facebook, and that was it. Of course, there she knew I had played her, and the stories she had been hearing about me were...
Now had been confirmed true.
Yeah. So quick, fast forward to the age of... no, around that time also, I met this young lady. Before I met her, I met this white lady, this American lady, who was working for the Peace Corps, but an only child. And the parents had some money, so...
You kick it off like a plague?
100. So she would always finance my lifestyle. But she also wanted me to do something. At a certain point, she's like, but what are you planning for your life? You know? Now we decided, I told her that all I needed to do was have something. She's like, why don't you go back to school? No, I need to work. So of all things, we decided on purchasing a bar. So
you convinced someone who sees you struggling with an addiction to alcohol to purchase a bar as your source of business.
Exactly. But you know, at that point, we also are not seeing it as an addiction. We just thought it was redundance. And I'm also believing that I can actually run the bar. It's interesting that almost everyone with an alcohol problem thinks that the easiest business to run is bar business.
So you're staring this alcohol right in your face, but telling yourself, I will not.
I will manage. Probably because you see the bar owner coming around taking shots, but still being in control, and you think that
you can also be in control.
You can be in control. Yeah. So I remember the place was in Chebando. We talked to the old man, and he agrees to sell us the place plus everything inside at 6 million shillings. Wow. No, 4 million shillings.
Wow.
Everything. So she goes back to the US, sends me $3,000. A dollar was 2,000. That was 6 million. So we go to the place. That morning with a friend of mine who has since passed on. We reach there, we find the madam, but then she says that the old man wasn't around. We come back at 4 p.m. And then we go back and decide to sit somewhere to celebrate our imminent acquisition.
Which you hadn't even paid for?
We hadn't paid.
The money was here.
That was the end of that money.
Albert.
In about a week or a week and a half, I had finished all that money.
And no bar.
There was no bar. This woman comes back, there is no business. I don't remember what story I told her. Somehow I cooked up something and she forgave me. Now, she goes back to the US and tells me she's being posted to Togo. And she says that by then we had to, that I join in Togo. So, but going to Togo, you had to go to I think they had a consulate in Nairobi. And that's where you'd get your visa.
Your visa.
So she sends what was needed. And my mom also really struggling to see that her son turns out to be someone.
It wanted you out of your
Yes.
network here, go to Togo and start afresh.
Yes. She agreed to it. I remember her even pushing me to the Kamba offices on the Winton.
To jump onto that bus.
Bought the ticket with her money and saw me enter the bus. We reach Nakawa and I tell this man I've forgotten my passport.
Had you?
No.
You just wanted to get out?
Yeah, I wanted to get out. I get out. First go back to the Winton. They take out a percentage from what you had paid for the ticket. Give you everyone, a ticket by then was just 25K. So they gave me back about 7,500.
You started on that?
No, plus what she had sent me. She had also sent, the American lady had also sent me money. So I drink all that money at Kamocha with those guys. Now, after some time, I come back to Bukolobi.
And your mother thinks you have returned from?
No, I've not even gone back home. Because I do not really know what to tell her. So I'm jungling around, staying at friends' places. So one time I am moving up, there's that canteen of Block 10, and then I see her coming down. So we meet on the .com street.
Wow.
She looks at me, I just turn and went in a different direction. There was nothing I could tell her.
Your mother?
Yeah. But at least I was glad that she had seen me. Of course, that was the last nail in the coffin of my relationship with the American lady. I think she was like, this guy is not serious, and that ended the relationship. A mother is a mother.
Took you back in?
Took me back in. And life continued. Now, at this point also, my friends are dying. If you remember the late Victor, sorry to mention his name on air, you know, very good friend, passed on at 20, you know, and I am thinking, okay, this
and
is
he's
terrible.
dying from alcohol-related
issues, because he was on treatment for malaria. So he had a bit of drink when he thought he was well. Then I think there was an interaction that messed up his pancreas. Good kid, he wasn't even necessarily an alcoholic. That should have been a lesson. But
guys like you.
Yes, it didn't change anything. As I felt like I was invincible. Another friend ended up being stabbed on the window, on Logogo, you know, by those chicken guys. A car ran over his head. Another one was killed in Ntinda by those special hire guys when he was running away. We had that thing that we used to do just for fun, run away from special hire guys without paying. Guys were dying. These were close people. But I was learning nothing. It was painful, shed a tear for them, but you still feel invincible. And that's the thing about addiction, the loss of control. You're like, this is terrible, but at that point also your emotions are compromised, your thinking brain is compromised. You are not able to make rational decisions. So it continues. Now I meet this young lady who I like so much, and she's the one who convinces me to go back to school. Yeah. Where she tells me, you want to date me, you have to go back to school.
You said that's the least of my worries.
Levels don't mix. I went back to school because I really liked the lady. I went, pleaded with my dad, fell on my knees. I said, no problem. But at this point now, he's tired of fighting me. He's like,
you are also a fellow adult anyway.
Yeah, we are doing it now on your terms. You want to go back to school? Which school? I'll pay. And I'm feeling too old to go back to secondary school.
Of course.
So I go to UICT. I do an equivalent of S6. I'm promoted to diploma class. And I'm drinking, but there's a semblance of control because of the influence of this young lady. Eventually, I go back to my old ways. And she's like, you know, you have to do something about your life. So I am someone connected me to a job in Pakuba. I think I was so underqualified for the job. After 3 months, I come back to Kampala, and I'm given all my 3 months' salary. Tell me, come back to work after a week. They heard from me after a month, and by then I'm told you have no job. But also my fiancé hadn't seen me all this time. By the time I went back to her, I barely had money, and she's like, this man that I have stood by for all this time, when he gets money, this is the first thing he does.
Disappear. Bless.
So she's like, Albert, I've had enough.
Out.
Yeah. So this is 2007. And she throws me out. So I get into a serious state of depression. And of course, at that point now, family has thrown you out.
Yeah, of course.
Friends are throwing you out.
And many have also died.
Yes. That's around the period I also meet Sega. Yeah. So I remember sometime I'm in Gabiro with a certain lady I was dating at that time, and I leave her with somebody I considered a close friend of mine. So when I come back and this lady is like, is this guy your friend? You know what he's telling me?
The guy had broken down your life story.
It's like, why are you hanging with this guy? This guy as useless as the word sounds. This guy will never own a car. He will never have a house. He will never get married. He will never have a child. It's a gone case.
He's moving but dead.
Yes. And he's telling my girlfriend at the time. And I'm like, hey, okay. That was the second one. After cigars.
Another hit home.
Yes. I'm like, Kawa. This guy is looking at me as another useless statistic. I'll show you. So all these things, plus I kept hearing all these negative words, and I was like, this is not who I am. I'll prove you guys wrong. You know? And then I met somebody who had been through rehab. The man looked very different from the drunkard we used to carry home. And I'm like, but you man, what happened? The guy tells me rehab.
And the guy so didn't want to associate much with you because he could relapse.
No, he's drinking. He's actually in the bar. He's drinking his crest and eating pork. I'm like, rehab? So he explains to me what rehab is. This is Saturday. Simon, I ran home that Saturday afternoon. That shows how depressed I was. And I fell on my knees.
Before your parents?
Now, my dad was at home. My granddad was at home. And a few other relatives. Interestingly, my granddad was also talking to my parents about rehab. And they were talking about the same rehab center this guy had told me about. My dad's priest, one of the priests in my dad's prayer group in Mbuya, had also been pushing him in that direction, talking about the same rehab. And here I am on my knees in tears.
Saying, take me to rehab. That must certainly have been divine intervention.
Divine intervention, definitely.
So that was the light hitting your face on the road to Damascus.
Exactly. Saturday afternoon, Sunday morning, I'm in rehab. It's been 17 years from then on. And it's actually in rehab that I discovered my passion.
Which is?
For this field.
Okay, Albert, tell me, I know there are not very many stories like yours of where folks go to rehab for the first time, come out, and after that they are sober, till the moment you are now telling me the story, 17 years down the road. What did those guys do to you in there?
You see, for me, I was under no illusion that I could control this thing, because I tried on my own. There's a time I was sober for 3 months. On my own. Then, when I fell off that wagon, it was a total mess.
You now caught up for 6 months.
Yes. So I had been trying on my own. And now, because my friend had died at 20 because of that mixing alcohol, and I also knew one thing about myself, that I had a discipline when it came to medication. I would not drink. So my only way to sober up those days, I would swallow anti-malarials, Fancida, just to give myself 5 days.
Even when you don't have malaria?
Even when I don't have. Just so that I get off alcohol for 5 days. I knew it was otherwise I wouldn't manage on my own. My mom had bought me herbs that made me puke out my guts.
But you still drank?
But I still drank.
Prayer warriors had come home.
I had to pray. Even on my own, I had taken myself to church. You know how you're drunk at 2 a.m. and you are in so much pain, you're crying.
Yes.
I used to have a lot of those emotional moments. I hear gospel music.
You just walk.
I walk inside the church, I ask them to pray for me. Guys, pray. The next day I wake up sober. I remember I even met those pastors. Guys are greeting me.
Praise God.
I just passed. I'm like, who are these guys? I've already forgotten. Then it hits me later that month. You took your eyes to church last night, you know? So I had tried all these things. There's someone who had almost convinced me that I had been bewitched.
And so you almost took you to a witch doctor.
Now, for me, that one, my dad had made it very clear to all of us, whoever enters a shrine is a dead man. So I feared that.
He said, I'm already dead enough with my alcohol. I don't want to.
Sure. So somehow, that was a no-go area.
So in all this, you never had a particular health scare on you that also instilled the fear of God?
No, that came later.
When you were sober?
When I was sober.
Mm-hmm.
That came later. Because I remember 5 years after I had sobered up, I contracted esophageal cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's a very deadly cancer with about only a 15% survival rate. But the doctors...
How did you, how did, like, when do you get to know it's esophageal cancer?
You know, this thing, all of a sudden, I started having difficulty swallowing food, especially meat, to get stuck, and I had to like throw it out. And I went to the hospital. I was told it's esophagitis, you know, because I'm not drinking. And at that time, I'd actually stopped smoking now, because I smoked for some more years after quitting alcohol. Yeah. So I'm like, what's the problem? So they would give me some tablets, and somehow it would relax. I would go on for a few weeks, and it would recur, until one of the doctors advised me to go for further tests that confirmed cancer of the esophagus. But the guys are like, you're too young to contract this, you know? And so family, with the help of some friends, put hands together, and eventually I'm taken to India.
And at what stage was this, when they diagnosed it?
I think it was stage 2, stage 3, I don't even remember, about then. Meanwhile, at this point now, I can't swallow anything.
You are feeding through intravenous?
No.
Or you have to take liquids?
I have to take liquids, but even milk can barely enter. Even I was as thin as, I don't know, you came and visited me, if you remember. It was so bad, so I went for radiotherapy. The radiotherapy helped in a way that there was some space created, so I could swallow maybe mashed Irish and porridge, which was really helpful. But around Uganda, meanwhile, Simon, I'm told that the doctors tell me I do not have a chance
of survival.
Yeah, they tell me to go for palliative care, send my results to UK, and I'm told the same thing, palliative care.
Palliative care, for purposes of those watching us, is just to give you a dignified exit out of the life of this world.
Exactly, exactly. So now what happens is, at that point I'm praying to God. I'm doing so many novenas, and I'm praying to God. I'm like, give me only 5 years to see my son grow. My boy was 3. I'm like, give me at least 5 years. Because in my mind, I'm like,
I've done it all. I deserve this.
This is a death sentence. I'm not surviving it. So I went to so many pastors. We had some of these very prominent pastors come visit me at home. I went to their churches, and nothing is exactly happening. But at that point in time, something is telling me, go to Father Raymond. You've heard of Father Raymond?
Yes.
On Entebbe Road. I used to go to him earlier, just for this consultation. Yes, but now this time, Entebbe Road, this time round, for some reason, I'm not going to him. So I get a call from a friend of mine. Actually, before I get that call, I am praying so much. No, it was after that call. I'm praying so much, and I get a revelation. God just speaks to me and tells me, you're healed. I still remember 4 a.m. and I wake up.
You're praying at 4 a.m. and you hear the sound.
This comes like 4 a.m. in form of a dream, but it's a clear voice. You are healed. And I knew it beyond reasonable doubt that this was the voice of God. So I wake up, I'm so elated, and everything about me has changed. And I remember my fiancée looking at me and wondering, this guy smoked something in the night. And I'm telling her, I am healed.
That was before you went to India or after you came from?
Before I went to India. So, of course, she plays along, but I could read her.
That there was skepticism around.
Yes,
She just said,
a lot of it.
This is his last slap on life.
Yes, and I remember friends of mine came to visit a few days later. The sitting room is packed. I'm getting them their stuff to eat and drink. And an owl, this is like at 8 p.m., comes and hits my glass, my window, and gets stuck. An owl with its eye. These guys, we all look at it.
I know that is it. Bad.
I tell these guys,
This has nothing on me.
yes, it's just a bird. But I could read all of them. This is like confirmation. Somebody even tells my grandmama, and she calls, no, you have to cut that tree, it's a bird. It's my dad who calls and says, that's just a bird, ignore. You don't listen to the nonsense these guys, and I don't focus on it. Anyhow, somebody calls my fiancé then and says that I know somebody who battled the same cancer like Albert and was healed. And Madame is like, how? But she says this guy took herbal medicine, and she shares the number. When I call the guy says, no, it wasn't herbal medicine. We went to Father Raymond, who are two guys, both battling cancer. He told the other guy that in 4 months you will be with Jesus, and when you meet Jesus, greet him for us. And he told me that in 3 months, I would be tested free for cancer. And it happened exactly like that. Of course, that presented me with another dilemma.
You're like, supposing
this guy tells me I'm also exiting this show. But I had this confidence that God
that
is,
voice.
Yes. So I go to Father Raymond, and we talk. He gives me time. We talk, and the guy tells me, you'll go to India. You'll struggle a bit, but you'll go to India. And when you go to India, they will find no cancer. And when you come back, come and thank God. So anyway, I go to India. Everything I said came true. Everything he said. I go to India. These Indians tested me. Nothing found cancer in my body.
What?
Even the PET scans. And then the doctors are like, the radiotherapy is the reason we can't. I'm like, even PET scans. So I didn't even want to go ahead with the surgery. But the Indian doctors convinced my fiancée. So she's like, oh, but we're already here just in case of anything. Let's do the surgery. So because of my confidence, I'm like, my healing has been sanctioned by God. So whatever I do, I am okay. So I'm like, how? We sign. I go through the surgery. Tough one, But before
the esophagus and another.
they remove it and then they get your stomach because it's elastic and they stitch it here. They first put a pipe that has to kind of help your stomach gain that kind of shape. Very terrible process. You wouldn't wish it on anybody. Anyhow, even before that, meanwhile, when these guys were wondering how I contracted that cancer, especially given my age, they eventually had to go into my history, and they concluded that it is my past life. 5 years earlier, my lifestyle, drinking, tobacco, whatever, street food, whatever, that all conspired to create this. They basically created the foundation for the cancer to attack. So this disease never lets you go scot-free. Whichever.
There are ramifications for substance abuse.
So the earlier one quits, the better, because if it had come when I was using, there was no survival.
Albert Elwa, it's been a pleasure having you on the program and you sharing this incredible life story of yours. So we'll conclude by getting to know one or two things about you now in your current state. So Albert, I'm your good childhood friend, family member now, because of your idol. You want to tell me convincingly that if you came to pay me a visit and I opened a cold bottle of beer, as we love to enjoy it in our heydays, you won't touch it?
I wouldn't.
What goes on in your mind when I'm tempting you with a cold bottle of beer and telling you about our glorious conquests in the past. And then now, we are clocking into 50 in less than 5 years, you and I. Half of that life you were not sober. What goes on in your mind? How do you avoid temptation?
To me, that is a death sentence. I am under no illusion that I would survive a relapse. And I understand what goes on in my brain. Basically, I always tell people, science gave me the answers, God gave me the solution.
I love that.
Yeah.
Science gave you the answers.
Yeah, God gave me the solution. So I know that this is another chance given to me by God. I know what goes on in my brain when I use. So I know that one bell could just mark the end of me.
And you don't want to leave this place. Not now.
Not now, and not like that.
And not like that.
Yeah.
You want to go in another dignified way.
Exactly.
No. Wow.
Yeah.
And your eating habits, what do you eat? What's your favorite dish now?
I don't think I exactly have a favorite dish, but I like pasted food, especially the greens, and kalo. Yeah, sweet potatoes.
Typical African guy.
Yeah. So.
But you do some exercise. Can you run? Can you lunge and?
Yeah, I walk a lot. I walk a lot. I avoid jumping exercises because the control structure is not there anymore. So it kind of gives me acid reflux if I jump. Huh?
You get what in science we study as antiperistalsis.
I don't even remember that. Yeah, so I get that acid reflux. It gives me a very serious heartburn. So I avoid things that make me jump a lot. Yeah, but I walk, I do brisk walking and other exercises that do not mess up my system. Sometimes, of course, I forget that I even have this issue.
But what you don't forget is you don't have to relapse.
Yeah, I don't have to relapse.
You will never have a car. You will never marry. You will never have children.
Yeah.
You will never marry to anything.
Yeah.
Have you met that person again?
I know he reads my story because God has blessed me with all and more. He reads my story. We are not friends anymore. I pray because what happens, tables flipped for him. He fell into the same ditch. Of course, I wish he recovers.
And support him if you can.
He lives, he's not in this country.
Albert, it's painful when you look back at the lost opportunities, lost time and all that. But in your heart of hearts, do you regret? If at all, what do you regret?
I don't know if I regret because sometimes I feel like God let me pass through the furnace so that I would be able to help others because I really enjoy what I do. This is my God-given passion. Many times you're mistaken, but what keeps you going is because you know that your story is authored by God, you know? So I strongly believe that was the reason. Of course, there are things, the times you have the moments of what could have been.
But let me also say, let me be very honest. I mean, 17 years sober, even I still believe, I don't believe. Because again, I saw you at your worst, and many did see you at your worst. What believability index do you have, especially when you're talking to people, or when people meet you eventually? You get this wow moment of people saying, Albert? No. And then this whole stigma that possibly still hovers around you where someone mentions you and people are referring to the you that was and not the you that is now.
Of course, but over the years they've gotten used. I mean, they've seen me on TV, they have read my story, have met me. So those that I grew up with, I've gotten to accept. But also people have different versions of my story. People remix.
they put in a
yes, because sometimes I hear
about you and you're like, was I
I'm like, but this is, you're talking about a different album. Eh? So guys act their own version. Yeah, there are so many remixes out there. But what is important is that in this life, in this journey of life, God gives everybody purpose. I have had so many of my friends seek out my support with drinking, with their spouses, with their kids, and different other aspects, you know. They call on to me for support. So God has turned all that
But you also check on us. I mean, we may fear to come to you now
I do.
You know, but please keep an eye on us. Eh? And when you hear, please check on me. But
Definitely, Simon. For you, I'll just lift you. I called Diana and said, this guy first living with me for 90 days.
I will defeat you. Finally, as we conclude, Albert, you talked about a son that was 3 and you prayed to God. You just want 5 years to see him turn 8.
Yes.
How old is he now?
He's 15.
So you have a teenage son.
Yes.
At an age when you took your first dose
Yes.
of this crazy stuff that ruined your life partly and you've now regained it.
Yes.
What do you tell your son?
I share with him my
Does he
story.
know this story?
He knows my story. He saw me struggle with the cancer. And actually at 3, I could see the confusion and pain in his face. He saw my struggles. And I've been able to share with him my story at almost every other point. My struggle with the cancer, other emotional issues that happened in my life, he's been a part of. So I don't hide from my kids.
So let's say when your son sees a drink, opposite direction,
I hope
or
so.
you don't know.
I hope so, but he knows he knows my work. My kids, I've employed people that have struggled. He's seen how I've struggled with them. He's seen other relatives they've seen other relatives of ours pass on due to the same problem. You know, so they're under no illusion that this is more or less a death sentence, and the genetic component of this.
Finally, and if you caught your son inebriated, would you do what your dad did to you, or now you have a better way of dealing with an inebriated son? Painful as it is, and I'm saying God forbid.
Yeah, I definitely have a better way of dealing with it. Of course, it would hurt me to bits, but I would get them help, professional help. Get a friend of mine I trust to take him through therapy. I wouldn't be the one to do that.
The incredible life story of Albert Elwa. Now you agree with me from where we started that we have Paul transiting from Saul in our real life, and we've seen him go through that. Albert, thank you so much for being candid.
Pleasure is
and
all
not
mine.
holding back and generously sharing your life story. But I'm sure this did not come easy. Are there times when you felt embarrassed to talk about your life story? Or can I not claim that I've been able to squeeze the life story out of you that you never told me?
In the beginning, but Simon, I've approached you so many times, and you've been part of those that have really encouraged me to share. But also, over the years, I know that sharing turns the public into my accountability partners. So I am sharing my story, I'm telling you what I do, and if you found me lifting something, a green bottle, something, you'd put me to task. You man, what are you doing? So it holds me accountable when I share my story with the world.
Talk about that as you really conclude. I mean, I'm just enjoying this. I don't want it to end. Is there something you had never told anybody about your life story that you want me to be happy that you told it to me on this program? Just one little tidbit.
That I'd never told anybody.
Until now. Not making mention of names, because I'm sure there could be some other people involved. Just protect you from them.
That is a hard one. I would really hard to think. There are things that are still in the closet that I might take to my grave. Maybe another time.
Albert has promised us just another debunking session where he feels his closet is too full. He wants just release a few. But for now, he's not going to tell us anything that he has never told anybody. But nonetheless, we thank him for being on the program and sharing his incredible life.
Can I still say something?
Why not?
No, I have never shared the spiritual angle. The part that I've shared with you about God
Speaking to you?
God speaking to me, and also another part that I never shared with you. Before I started my journey, focus on recovery, I heard from God. The same voice at 4 a.m. again afterwards, because I was starting a company called Fellowship of Cancer Survivors and Sufferers, to bring together those that have survived cancer, to empower those that are struggling.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was also called Focus. And I kept hitting so many obstacles and asking God why this is something good. And God told me clearly, go back to where it all started from. And the good thing about when God speaks to you, you really understand what he's talking about. And then
the doors open. The
exactly.
and everything just works out.
Exactly. I have never shared that bit.
Incredible. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, Simon.
From wherever it is that you catch this podcast, whether watching us on UBC, our partner, or catching us on YouTube, if you haven't subscribed, please do. That is the space where you'll find this and more incredible life stories, which, if for nothing else, will inspire you to realize that you can go through circumstances, but the best part is living long enough to come here and share, to inspire others and make them cross that bridge. God bless.
Everyone has a life story to tell, but an incredible life story is shared and told differently.